Okay, the most important part of the boat, which you're very aware of, is going to be your dashboard. Okay, basically your helm wheel. The helm wheel is adjustable. There is a position under the bottom to adjust just the wheel. Down in this panel here that you'll see little white buttons, this is the 12-volt breaker system. There are no fuses tied into the Tiara yachts. These are all set up with breakers. Every one of the breakers are labeled. Again, take some time to study them. If you do have an issue, the breaker will come out, push the breaker back in, whatever the circumstances are. Over on this side, I'll explain how the fire system works so you understand. This is your manual control. If the fire system does not go off, you pull the pin, pull the lever up, and the fire extinguisher will go off. There is an emergency shutdown switch here. There's an override and a normal position. If for some odd reason the fire extinguisher does go off, but it's not a major catastrophe, the engines or the generator will not operate. You must then turn the switch to the override position, and that will get you, the engines will start, and that will get you home. That's all this is for, is to be used after the fire extinguisher bottle goes off. The panel that you see here is pretty much labeled exactly what you want it to do. Everything is labeled to explain bilge pumps, spreader lights, windshield wipers, helm air, all that stuff is tied in here. Okay. Over on this side, the first one that I'm looking at right here, this controls your trim tabs. This controls up and down, so therefore, and then the lights will come out to let you know the position of your trim tabs. I'll explain this EVC system when we start the engine. Over on this side, of course, is your stereo, and this is also where you would do your iPod, your CD changer. You can also hook this up to satellite radio if you wish. This is your power seat. That controls your helm seat. Up on your dash, the first one over here gives you your bilge pumps. As they come on, the lights will come on. You can also turn them on manually. When the generator's running, the center light comes on. This is your autopilot. These are the two readout screens for your engines. This is your ship-to-shore radio, and then of course your two NavNet screens. Okay, so let's go through the starting procedure so you can see how it's done very, very simply. You turn the key on. You have to hold the key all the way over. You'll hear it beep. Okay, let's do the second one. Okay, once the engines are running, you'll see your screens. Okay, each engine is separate. You can change the screens, do what you want with them. Okay, this one, what I'm doing now is giving you fuel burn rate. The engine right now is doing 0.63 gallons per hour at idle. And you can see they're pretty much the same. This little gauge here gives you fuel capacity for the boat. You only have one tank. You can scroll through these, which will be explained in your owner's manuals, to do different types of settings. Okay, now let's get down to the EVC system. The EVC system, if you push the neutral switch and hold it, put your throttles in neutral, you can increase the speed of the engine for warm-up without the boat going into gear. Okay, so if you can notice on the video, they're flashing. That means the boat is in neutral and the engines are in a higher RPM level. Once you bring them back to the neutral position, now these lights have stopped flashing if you put your throttles in gear, the boat will move. To operate the joystick, push the one button. You'll hear it beep, the red light is on. To operate the joystick, just go forward. The boat will move. The button on the opposite side, I don't recommend you use that for a while until you get used to the joystick. The difference between the two buttons, this only has like 1,000 RPM maximum. This one runs up to about 1,1400 for heavier wind or tide conditions. They both do the same thing, but use the one on the left.
Get used to running the boat at the lower RPMs here, and then you can start practicing to have more power should you need it with the other side. I think you'll find that 95% of the time, the button on the left, the lower stage, will work.
The other thing is that the IPS joystick will not go in the on position unless the throttles are in neutral. Because what it does, it locks up your steering so the steering will not operate. And if by chance you move these throttles in any way, shape, or form, it'll actually turn off the joystick.
And you'll notice right on the pads, docking deactivated. The docking deactivated is the indicator that the joystick is no longer the primary control of the boat.
Now, when we reactivate the joystick, once the throttles are in neutral, your panel will say docking activated. So that means now you're in the joystick mode.
Jeff, real quick, the rest of the buttons here are mostly, I just want to make sure I say this correct, for items if you had multiple stations. Since you're a single station boat, there's no need to any of the other stuff. Check your Avavo Pento manual for anything else. But the one function you will be using is the neutral button, as we mentioned.
The only thing else this does, which is kind of redundant because your panel is so close, your engine monitoring panel, this will actually move the settings on the panel remotely instead of you reaching up and doing it on the panel yourself. I really feel it's not necessary.
Read your instruction manual. It'll give you details on how to do that. And if you find it's really helpful, let us know so we can figure out how to do it someday.
Okay, now to turn the boat off, if you just turn the keys to the upright position, the engines will not shut off. They must be turned all the way over to the left, and then the actual thing is done. Okay? Let's go through the electronics.